All right, let's jump right in. We're going to crack open the brand new rulebook for AI today. As artificial intelligence is rewriting pretty much everything about our world, there's this one huge question hanging over it all. Who's actually writing the rules for the machines? Well, we're going to demystify the answer to that. It's a new global standard called ISO 42005. See, on one hand, AI has this just unbelievable promise. I mean, it could help us cure diseases, completely transforming medicine as we know it. But that same power has a really dark reflection. AI can also soak up our worst instincts, right? It can amplify prejudice with biased algorithms and spit out results that are just deeply, deeply unfair. And we see this tension every single day. AI gives us these incredibly personalized services that make our lives so much easier, so much more efficient. And yet, the very data that fuels all that convenience creates this enormous risk. The potential for massive privacy violations on a scale we've literally never seen before. It's the central balancing act of our time. Okay, let's get a little more specific about what these dangers actually look like. They really fall into three main buckets. First, you've got the purely technical stuff. Is the algorithm going to work reliably? Is it built on junk data? Then you have the really thorny ethical and social risks, all the things we just mentioned, like bias, transparency, and privacy. And finally, there's the massive headache of compliance for any company just trying to navigate this spiderweb of global data laws and all the new AI rules popping up. So it all brings us to this one absolutely critical question. In what feels like an AI Wild West where everything is moving at lightning speed, how do we handle all these risks? How do we build AI that isn't just powerful, but is responsible and fair, and ultimately something we can actually truly trust? And this right here is where ISO 42005 comes into the picture. Think of it as the global rulebook, the map for navigating that Wild West. It's a management system standard designed to give organizations a really clear, practical framework for building and managing AI in a way that is responsible, ethical, and, you guessed it, compliant. The whole standard really boils down to four main goals. It's about standardizing processes so that everybody is working from the same playbook. It's about proactively managing risks instead of just, waiting for things to go wrong. It's about promoting ethics by baking fairness right into the AI's design from the start. And of course, it's about ensuring compliance. You put all that together, and you've got a system designed to bring some serious order to the Wild West. So how does this all work in the real world? Well, the very first principle is a total game changer. Leadership and risk first. This standard basically says responsible AI is not some problem you can just hand off to the tech team to figure out in a back room. No way. It makes it crystal clear that accountability starts at the very, very top of an organization. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The standard itself says, and I quote, "Effective implementation requires a concrete and visible commitment from top management." This isn't just a suggestion. It means the C-suite, the bosses, they have to be actively involved, setting the policies, putting up the resources, and really building a culture of responsible AI. And it's that leadership that has to drive this continuous cycle of risk management. See, this isn't a one-and-done audit. It's a constant process. You have to identify all the potential threats, then you analyze where they come from, you evaluate how bad they could be, you treat them with specific fixes, and then, and this part is so critical, you constantly monitor everything to make sure your solutions are actually working. Now, this whole idea of being proactive with risk leads us straight to this second core principle, building trust by design. The idea here is that trust can't just be an afterthought or some slogan you slap on a marketing campaign. It has to be woven into the very fabric, the architecture, and the daily operations of the AI system itself. And a really critical piece of this design is deciding on the right level of human oversight. For the really high-stakes stuff, think medical diagnoses or maybe a big loan application, you might want a human in the loop where a person has to physically sign off on every single decision the AI makes. But for lower risk tasks, a human on the loop is probably better, where the AI runs on its own, but a person is supervising, ready to jump in. It's all about matching the level of control to the level of risk. Now, this is where the standard gets incredibly practical. It gives you a playbook to fight against specific real-world security threats.
For instance, data poisoning, right? That's where an attacker messes with the training data to corrupt the model. The standard says your defense has to be rigorous data validation. Or what about adversarial attacks, where tiny little changes to an image or a file can completely trick an AI? Well, the countermove is something called adversarial training to build a tougher, more robust model. It's a concrete security playbook.
So why on earth would a company go through all this effort? Well, that brings us to our third principle, the certification payoff. This is the so what of it all. It's about the real, tangible, bottom-line benefits of getting this right, and trust me, it's about a lot more than just getting a certificate to hang on the wall. Let's start with the single biggest number here. According to the data, organizations that actually get certified report a pretty staggering 70% reduction in AI-related incidents. Just think about that for a second. Everything from security breaches to biased outcomes just cut by nearly 3/4. This isn't just a theory. We're talking about massively reducing real-world risk. And as you can see on this chart, the benefits go way beyond that initial risk reduction. Look at that middle bar shooting up. Certified companies find they're already about 85% of the way to being aligned with complex new rules like the EU AI Act. That's a huge head start on compliance. And maybe most important of all, look at this third bar, a 40% measured increase in customer trust. In today's market, being able to prove your AI is trustworthy is a massive game-changing advantage. So the key takeaway from all this is that AI governance has fundamentally shifted. It's not a nice-to-have anymore. It's not some problem you can just toss over to the legal team. As this standard makes perfectly clear, governance has become the absolute blueprint for creating AI that is effective, sustainable, and above all, trustworthy. And that leaves us with one final and pretty crucial question. Standards like this one give us a roadmap for how to build AI responsibly. But as these systems get more and more powerful and more woven into the fabric of our lives, it really forces us to ask, at the end of the day, who is responsible for building AI's conscience? Thanks for joining this explainer.